exciting week.
Yeah.
Great, great to meet and great to see you, Ryan.
Good to see you.
It's been a long journey. Why don't you guys give your own kind of quick intros and then John will get back and we can go from there.
Great. Go for it, Ryan.
Cool. Yeah, Ryan here, founder and CEO of TrueWork, and Jordy, it's great to see you. We started TrueWork 8 years ago, grew it to quite a large company, and excited to see the vision really continue and accelerate under Checker. So I'll let Daniel intro himself.
Awesome.
Yeah. Hey guys. Daniel here, founder and CEO of Checker. We started 11 years ago. We invented the API for background checks and verifications. And so we've been pretty big in the employment space and verifications for employment, access to marketplaces. And I've known Ryan and the TrueWork team for many years as well. I was an investor in their B round and been following the journey. And we're excited to announce that our teams are going to join forces and we can continue to build the product and platform together.
Amazing. When did you know when you were investing in the B? Did you have any idea that your guys' journeys would really intersect at some point? I'm curious when that conversation, or that idea even popped into your head.
I mean, I love the space because I love APIs and data products and verifications. I wasn't sure if it will ever intersect at some point. I thought that the challenge that they're taking was great. And then I think it's only in the last, I would say maybe in less than last year that we started thinking that could align with our long-term data platform vision.
Awesome. Talk about, I guess, the last, your guys' opinion in the last few years. I know Checkers, more on the HR category, TrueWork, more of a fintech darling. But Ryan, how was it the last few years navigating all the ups and downs to get to this point?
Yeah, we saw immense growth during COVID with home buying sprees, and once the interest rate went up, we definitely had to navigate a higher rate environment that meant lower volumes for mortgage lenders. We expanded into other verticals like property management. That was a little less cyclical, but we were able to keep up, really strong growth despite the market that we're really proud of. And now this is a way for us to expand into even more verticals like background check.
Can you talk a little bit about the different tiers of verification and kind of like the different pools of TAM that you're going after together? Like I started a nicotine product company, and we need to age verify. So we do background checks loosely. We do ID verification, but it's sometimes like a $30 checkout. So, we need to be under $1 per verification versus if you're hiring some engineer and you need to verify them, that could be hundreds of thousands of dollars in value, essentially. Totally worth paying, I don't know, $10, $100 per verification. What are the different pools and what's most exciting? What's the biggest TAM, and how do you kind of divide up the market?
Yeah. So we're going after over a $50 billion TAM on different types of verifications and identity products. We Checker started in the $14+ billion employment market. Ryan and team, they've been going after financial underwriting, property management, which is also, $12 billion plus TAM. We also are going after the risk and fraud market and TAM, which we also size at about $10 billion, specifically competing with companies like LexisNexis in financial fraud and financial risk. And then we also have a nascent consumer offering and product that's growing quite well, and that's also a multi-billion-dollar TAM. So yeah, we're quite busy, and once we start to build a consumer-driven profile with verified credentials, identities, employment, work information, that can be used to sort of lots of use cases in different industries.
Can you talk about the the war between artificial intelligence here.
Yep.
I saw a post recently saying, "Oh, the new ChatGPT images, you can generate a fake receipt, you can generate a fake ID, and use that and upload that." At the same time, I'm sure you can use AI to weed some of that out. What technologies are the most interesting to you today?
Yeah, so I mean, Ryan's product and ours, we've been more on the data side, which is a little bit harder to fake by AI. I mean, AI can fake anything. It's just a question of cost of, the bad actors, how much money are they going to spend to try to do fraud. So we're not focusing on taking pictures of driver licenses. I think that's going to become very challenging over
Interesting.
time.
Okay.
We're focusing more on verified data sources, from government signals like the DMV,
Yeah.
from payroll companies and payroll records, from employee records. So we stitch together, different verified data sources, also consumer-generated data. We triangulate it, we score it, we verify it, and so that's a lot of our approaches that are a little bit more resilient, I would say, to AI fraud. We also both in our products have document-based verification and processes in case there's no data available on different systems, and we also use AI to combat AI fraud on documents. So it's definitely multi-pronged strategy, and AI I think is both an opportunity because it's going to create a lot more fraud and problems for customers. So it gives us a lot more work to do. And at the same time, it's an opportunity because we're going to use AI tools and technology to combat AI fraud.
What is it like working with the DMV as a data source? When you hit the API, do they make you take a ticket and wait for the response, or is it a little bit faster on your end?
Yeah, and I'm curious about the evolution. I imagine, when Ryan started TrueWork and Daniel, when you started Checker, even farther back, I imagine there was things that you had to do with humans that you maybe anticipated that you could do with AI at some point, but weren't immediately possible, just given, now we have products like computer use that could sort of navigate systems that don't necessarily have APIs.
Yeah, I mean, for us, like we, as Daniel mentioned, similar to Checker, we try to get our data from as automated of sources as possible, like directly from the payroll system, directly from your bank account, et cetera. But in some cases where, you work at a mom and pop store and there's just no other way to access the information, we have to get in touch with the HR department. We have to get verified data back from them. And it's a mix of automation and manual work, but there are some HR departments that just only use a fax machine, for example. They will only respond to a fax machine. It's crazy. And so we've had to kind of build a lot of automated flows on top of these manual processes. AI LLMs are definitely making that easier. You can automatically, send a fax, email communication, even make a phone call to these teams in an automated way. So it's changing, but there are still a lot of these businesses that are really stuck in the legacy past.
It's really funny to be using the future of technology to work backwards with
I mean, that's
legacy technology.
Every SaaS company, right? They all build on top of these archaic systems. What's your take on eyeball scanning, WorldCoin? Is this the future?
I was gonna
ask that.
I imagine every time you guys see somebody walking around with an orb, scanning eyeballs, you're like, that's cool, but you can also sort of triangulate personhood. But they're less focused on the U.S. market. But I'm curious how you guys think.
Yeah, what do you think of the far future of verification?
No, I think on identity, I think we're laughing about it, but I think in person is going to become important when you want to have the best assurance, because online will be able to be faked so much easier and cheaper. So I think there's going to be actually more. It depends. It depends on the use case. But if you have some very, very important transaction, like getting a passport or very important points, you still are going to need the biometrics in person. It's going to be hard to fake that. So I think we'll see more in-person use cases and probably in the identity stack, more solutions. The other thing that I'm bullish on is electronic driver licenses and wallets. Like Apple and Google are starting to have your driver license in your wallet, like Apple Pay. And I think, and the government, especially in Europe and other countries, they're moving to mobile driver licenses that connect to the government. And if Apple and Google are opening their SDKs and continuing to build them right, I think that's going to be a more elegant solution than scanning your picture of your driver license, for example.
Yeah. How do you think about, like, I don't know, the cost curve on this technology? A lot of people are complaining about like the dead internet theory. All social networks will just be filled with spam and bots. Is there a world where you can get this to a scale where it's so cheap and effective that we can reliably put an end to the bot problem on the internet? Or is that just intractable because it's like a capital fight?
No, I think the cost is definitely going down. I mean, just to give you an example, the verifications Ryan and I were doing, they used to cost tens of dollars because a lot of human labor.
Yeah.
With AI and automation, we can now automate it end to end and bring it to pennies in terms of cost, many of them.
Wow.
For example, the criminal checks, we can do it at very high scale, very low cost. And that allows us to open new use cases, like not just hiring an engineer background check, but we can provide safety on online dating marketplaces, car rental marketplaces, home sharing marketplaces for a fraction of the cost, and it's an instant product. So with technology, you can lower the costs, you can make it instant, you can open new use cases. So I think we'll be able to do similar things also on risk and fraud over time.
Yeah, we see this with like Ramp often looks at like the B2B trend report of where companies are spending more money than ever before. Do you have data like that as well? Because I see on your website, like, you're in gig and marketplace, staffing, hospitality, retail, manufacturing, healthcare, technology. Do you have an idea of what industries are doing a exponential growth in verification?
I guess like ours quickly, and you had Daniel, like when we have a pretty good view of the mortgage market, like
Sure.
mortgage lenders, thousands of lenders on platform. So
Yep.
we will see pretty early if volumes are going up or down.
Sure.
I think what's interesting in these other verticals like property management, like we are seeing a huge uptick in using technology here. I mean, 90% plus of property managers were using very manual processes. Hey, give me your pay stubs, give me a tax return. And you're seeing real momentum in that space of folks bringing on AI and automation.
There was this tweet a while back that we talked about, something like you'll meet your acquirer like 4 years before the deal gets done, something like that. How'd you guys originally meet?
So that's been true for us, right, Ryan?
Yeah, exactly. Daniel and I got connected, I believe, by a mutual investor, and Daniel's been incredibly helpful, just obviously really close to the space, and invested in our Series B about 4 or 5 years ago. So that lines up.
Yeah, and we're both part of Y Combinator, so we are well connected with YC founders, and so
Gary Tan wins no matter what. Again, another $1 million for Gary. Love to see it. That's great.
It's great.
It's awesome.
And it's been great to just work with other founders. I think there's lots of small YC companies who, some of them are going to break through. Some of them, it makes sense to join forces and build products together. Yeah. So YC founders, working with YC founders has been one of the most fun thing for me to do over the last years.
I think a lot of people don't often get like the inside story of like how an M&A event comes together. Can you give us some color on like how long the deal took? Who were the parties in the room? Was it just handshakes over dinner and steaks and Dom Perignon, or was this in a boardroom with all the lawyers and you're screaming at each other? What happened? And then I also want to go through the post-merger integration stuff, but let's talk about the anatomy of the deal first.
Yeah, we can share some story, Ryan. When did we go on that walk, Ryan?
I think it's July of last year. So it's been quite the long process, about 10 months.
Overnight success.
That's great. And yeah, I mean, how do you build vision? What are the hurdles that you guys have to overcome to kind of get a deal done? I think a lot of founders are open to acquisitions, but what are the parameters that you guys were thinking about and the discussion points that led you to think that this would make a lot of sense?
Yeah, one thing I was really impressed by how Daniel and the team approached it is I think it really started a lot with the product, and is this a product that works really well? Is this something that we want to buy? And there was testing of the product and our completion rate and how it could potentially look like a part of the Checker environment. And I really appreciated that as like one of the first steps.
So
Yeah.
are you both based in San Francisco?
Yeah.
Okay. So you just went on a walk. Where was the walk specifically?
Around my office right here in
Okay.
One Montgomery. Yeah.
Very cool. So the deal comes together. What does post-merger integration look like? I imagine that there's, teams can work together. You guys can merge offices. You can go into a new office together. What are you thinking? What are the hurdles that you both want to overcome?
Yeah. So it's still very fresh, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we literally signed. It was a bit of drama getting all the signatures on Wednesday evening, like less than 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Like at 2
Still a
a.m.
little
with
sleep
with the
deprived.
last few days were a lot of lawyer calls, like more
Yeah.
than my entire life. Like I have enough lawyer calls. I don't want to do more. Like, but on like small details that are not very important. Like where both sides were like, let's get it done, guys.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's just like legalese.
Yeah.
So it just got signed, and then we just announced it yesterday externally and to our employees and everything. So it's still very early.
Yeah.
We've done 6 different acquisitions, bigger and smaller over the years. So kind of trying to learn how to get better at it. And
Yeah.
a lot of acquirers mess up the acquisition, as you know, right? Like a lot of
course.
company, it's a failure mostly because of the acquirer just not doing the best to welcome the team and to continue the growth and the business. So our top priority is like to continue what's working at TrueArc. A lot of things are working. We want to accelerate their growth and give them more support. We don't want to suffocate them in a bigger company. So I think that's been early alignment with Ryan and Ethan and Victor and the team. And so also the rationale for the acquisition is both we tested their product and their employment verifications are 10x better than what we have. So their product is gonna make our product much better for all of the customers. And we're excited to expand into the financial underwriting space.
Sure.
So double rationale, and on that they have.
Yeah, it's cool to
Yeah.
it's cool to think about. I can imagine you guys are in a much better place to do this extensive diligence because you have such similar and potentially overlapping businesses over time than even somebody that'd be writing like a 9-figure check, right? On the VC side, just because who's going to be able to get into the weeds more and really understand the product. So it's a huge vote of confidence in the platform.
Yeah. I remember hearing a story from a lawyer about like getting a signature from a VC who was literally, this is not a joke, literally on the ski slopes, and they had to fly someone out with the paperwork to get them to sign at the top of the hill because they were on vacation. They're like, "This, you have to sign this day. This is super important." So I'm sure there's a lot of drama, and I'm sure there's going to be a massive legal bill for you. But good luck. I think it's going to work out. Obviously, it's a lot easier when the companies are growing, right? Because this doesn't become about like, oh, let's chop it up and like really cut costs. It's like, hey, we're all growing together. This just will accelerate things. You're both private companies. Is there like an FTC approval process for a deal like this, or is that just something that doesn't even come into play at this level? Is Lena Khan punching the air, watching 2 companies merge, even though both of you guys seem pretty happy about this?
Yeah, no, I think this one was below the threshold.
Okay.
We've had it for previous bigger acquisitions.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is there any like regulatory process? How do you even think about that as a startup? I mean, we've all heard the story about like, the big ones like the Figma, Adobe back and forth. They're still litigating Instagram and Meta right now. What advice would you give to founders as they're growing to think about acquisition and merger and acquisition strategies broadly in the regime as it's evolved over the last few years? Yeah.
I mean, I think M&A, and I was talking to the M&A bankers, last year and this year, and the trends. M&A with the big 4 tech companies like Amazon, Google, and everything, it's been very difficult, especially in the last regime. Lots of deals canceled and everything. I don't know, for right or for wrong, I think it is important. We are startup guys. Like we root for new startups to succeed, right? I think that's what we like to do. But I think in the opportunities are for small and medium startups to join forces and do M&A. And I think it's a good M&A market right now. the roads to IPO is longer than ever. The bar is higher than ever. I mean, the IPO window just got shut again.
Yep.
And even before that, experts and friends and people are saying like, hey, even $500 million in revenue, it's not strong enough these days.
Totally.
If you want $1 billion plus in revenue,
Yeah.
super strong growth, super strong profitability, super diversified business, very, very high bar. There's very few companies to get to that level. And so even for us, I think the opportunity is like we have a big vision. We work in the data and identity space. What other startups can kind of join that venture, and we all work together to be a bigger, stronger company and qualify over time.
Awesome.
Ev Randall was talking about how he pulled up a screen of SaaS companies with over $500 million in revenue that are public, and there's hundreds of them now. And so just as a public markets investor, like you can kind of satiate your demand for SaaS companies in like almost any vertical. And so the bar's never been higher. You mentioned that like the M&A markets are heating up. Are you looking backwards towards a year ago when this process started, or is this what you're feeling even this week? Because obviously there's been some market turmoil. Do you think that the mood in Silicon Valley, the mood in San Francisco has shifted at all around M&A? Because obviously Wall Street reacts much faster with like the IPO window is closed like as of a week ago.
Well, it might be open again.
It might be open again. Who knows? It may, it changes so fast. But I feel like in Silicon Valley, the M&A market moves much more slowly as VC funds scale up and scale down. Obviously, there's still growth funds that are getting bigger than ever. What are you seeing in terms of M&A over the last like year, and do you think there's going to be a shift this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's from the seller side, there's going to continue to be a lot of appetite because the valuations were so high in 2021.
Sure.
It's really hard to catch up, especially when you're like raising at 100 times revenue multiple or things like that.
Yep.
If the scale is not there, profitability is not there, companies might really struggle to fundraise more. So I think we're going to continue to see companies interested in joining forces and demand on the seller side. That started over a year ago and it's continuing today. I think on the buyer side, I have seen some anxiety in the last few weeks from investors. Should we really do M&A or not? It's scary out there. There's anxiety. And so, it's always a big investment. So, people don't want to invest or take risk when things are scary out there. But from our perspective, I'm fortunate. We have a strong financial position, strong long-term investors, and we continue to wait for it. We did that M&A because it's the right thing to do in the long term. So we're really playing the long-term game here.
Yeah.
Love it. Last question I have, Ryan, is there one investor, maybe besides Daniel, that comes to mind as the most helpful, somebody that stands out on the 8-year journey that you would highlight?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to single out just one. We were lucky to have many really, really great helpful investors. I mean, all 3 investors on our board, Alfred Lin from Sequoia, Keith Boy from Khosla, and
really stacked.
Yeah, it's a stacked board. And
who is the last one?
And Steve Saraceno from Activant.
Oh,
yeah,
cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, so they're stacked, incredibly helpful, incredibly supportive from the beginning till now. I really couldn't have asked for a better board. We got really lucky.
But gun to your head, Keith or Alfred. Just kidding. No, I do want to know, like maybe last question for Daniel. There's been this back and forth meme about GPT wrappers, just we're the AI Salesforce. Maybe we're the AI checker. There's a lot of those companies. Some of them, they felt like they were overvalued, and then some of them ramped up revenue really nicely. But they still feel like I wouldn't want to be building one of those companies when there's a active venture-backed company in founder mode building in the same category, because I think that they're going to figure out how to wrap if they need to wrap. But what are you thinking about in the early stage of like AI empowered disruption? How important is it to do a greenfield project, build something? We're seeing that Windsurf is getting acquired, and I think a lot of people were saying, oh, that's just a ChatGPT wrapper. OpenAI is just going to build that. Well, maybe they will buy it. And so what are you thinking about the latest crop of kind of AI driven startups?
Yeah, I mean, I think we are the AI checker in founder mode. So good luck if you want to come, but in our space.
Yeah.
No, but I think AI is just the latest software, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just you used to say we're like the SaaS company to do CRM, we're the we're the cloud company to do CRM. Now we're AI company to do CRM.
Yeah.
So I think in B2B, and we're in B2B, it's like what B2B problem are you tackling? Are you tackling sales? Are you tackling underwriting? Are you tackling HR?
Yeah.
And AI is just a way to build modern products. If you think about it this way, it applies to every category, every business. And it's not enough to just be the AI wrapper. You have to come in and say, why is AI gonna be a differentiator to replace all of the other players?
Yeah.
And if you have a strong story on that, and the other players are not doing and leveraging what you're doing, I think there's a chance. It's very highly disruptive. Building AI products is not the same as building the products we've been building as product and eng people in the last 20 years. The paradigm, the UI, the experience is different. The stack is different. So either there's going to be opportunity because bigger companies are not going to change fast enough. But I'm racing in my company to transform everyone to be like, hey guys, we got to relearn everything from sign up flow to monetization to buttons and dashboards. It's we have to rebuild products AI first. It's different.
Yeah.
Have you thought at all? We always say last question, and then there ends up being
3
more
more.
questions, but we have 1 minute left. Have you thought about a world? Maybe you've done this already, but integrating with something like a ChatGPT, where if somebody's using ChatGPT at work and they can say like, "Hey, I have a new hire coming on board," would there ever be a world in the future where you would actually like integrate into the agent layer if you're looking at something like a ChatGPT as an agent, or is that not even the right kind of workflow?
No, that's futuristic, but it could be. It could be. I think if you look at who is it, like Klarna, who's not even using Workday and Salesforce anymore, and just like directly agent to
Yeah.
the workflow. Yeah, you could skip some of the traditional recruiting and hiring process and go straight into the agents. Yeah, could happen.
Awesome.
Interesting. Well, thanks so much for stopping by.
Congratulations, guys. Very exciting.
Congratulations.
Excited to
follow
watch
along.
you guys dominate together. It seems like it was fate. And yeah, congrats to the whole TrueWork team on the 8-year run too.
Yeah.
And the continued success. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much.
Talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
guys. Thanks,
Cheers.
Ryan.
Bye.